Hello. I'm finishing up my part two for um, the topic of the branches of Christianity, and kind of going into the question of why are there so many different types of churches or branches, however you want to say, of Christianity. Why are there so many divisions? And the biggest answer to that, in my opinion, is just that people are very different. Um, and I mean, it's hard to it's hard to say that people um can be so, I guess, against each other that they need their own way to worship God, but that is kind of the way it is. Um, and I know it sounds kind of hypocritical, right? I mean, as Christians, as people that believe in God, we're all supposed to really come together, but um, we can't even agree on how to worship God, really. Um, I think that's always the irony I see in it. I mean, um, there's so much division within Christians themselves, and maybe that's true with any religion, really, but um, there's so much disagreement and so much almost going against other people. But I mean, I do think that's just a human element. I don't think that it's anything that's unusual. And sometimes I'm glad because I've been to different churches, and I do think that um, I've felt more comfortable in some than others. Um, but I do hate to see people so separated. I mean, it's almost gotten to a point sometimes where if you live in a certain town and let's say you grow up there or you become connected there through work or business, whatever. um, I've seen it where people will ask you what church you go to, and they kind of make a judgment automatically if you tell them which church you are attending in that town. If you say, "Oh, I'll go over here," people will look down on you for that, being in that church. And um I mean, I don't know how common that is, but I do remember running into it myself. And I mean, to be fair, some of the churches I've seen that people go to are, I don't want to say like anything real negative. um they just have like a closed mindedness. I was trying to think of a good way to say it. It's just when you get into the church, you can kind of feel that it's not really in a place to move forward. Um, and so I think I found myself sometimes feeling like I could kind of see where a person was at if they were like, well, I go to this church. If you want to say, maybe they felt like I was looking down on them. I'm just trying to use the example of what I said. Growing up in a town where people kind of judge you for what church you go to. I do understand that because, like I said, I kind of felt that way towards people, and they would be like, "Oh, I go here or here," and I'll just be like, "Well, I kind of know where that person stands." Um, but you know, the biggest the biggest thing you can see from a person is just how they live their life. So I try to go by that more than anything. But it was a certain type of people that would go to certain type of churches, and and like I said, I think everybody just has a different style, you know. The churches I grew up in were very, I don't know if you want to say free. Um, they had people, sometimes I'll just say use this as an example, that would run around the um the entire, um like all the church pews and the services. You'd have people that would sometimes just scream and shout during the worship parts. You'd have people that, brought their own instruments and um, played tambourines and stuff, and you'd have people that, would dance in the middle of the audience, and like, a group of people would go to the center of the aisle and just um, like run around in a circle. Um, not sure how to describe that. Like they'd have all the kids hold hands and go around in a circle. Like, I don't know. Anyway, um, but the thing that stuck out to me the most was um, a couple ladies would just run around the entire um, room. The sorry, the word's slipping my mind. Just the congregation, the entire worship room we were in, um, and it just was, it was too much for me. I didn't like it. I didn't like that level of freedom. I guess it kind of felt like um, it was too unpredictable and too kind of out of control. Um, I think they were trying to encourage people to be free, but it was too uh, almost to the point of like um, scary for me. So I ended up going kind of to the opposite extreme for a little while. I went to a church where, there was nobody screaming and raising their voice, and it was very structured. I think it was an Episcopalian church, and there was, just a few hymns, a 50-minute sermon, and then the readings, like I talked about in my previous video. That was the church I ended up in for a while. Just kind of having, not really liking the experience of, um, I guess I don't know how to describe it except like the free church. Uh, I think that it still needs to be professional, but I've seen some churches that kind of have a better balance with all that. They're kind of open with the service, but nobody's running around screaming. I've kind of liked those myself too. Now, I really battle content a lot of times. I feel like I struggle to find content that I like, um, but see, I'm the perfect example of like, you know, um, what do I need something pretty specific probably, and most people do need something, or they feel like they need something specific to um, feel comfortable in a church. So that's really the answer, I would say, to the question, why are there so many churches? People want to be comfortable. Some people like um, churches where they know everybody, and they want to talk every service. I mean, I've seen churches like that. So um, everybody is so um, different and needs so many different things. That's why I would say, it became what it is. Um, I wish it wasn't quite the way it is, because it's so drastically different, but you know, you just have to find what works for you. So, that's what I recommend. Research and watch videos of services if you can, and maybe you'll find something that you like. Um, anyway, I guess I'll just wrap that up, and I thank you for watching. Have a nice day.